Hi, Gideon.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Finally, we made it to the fireside chat. Ever since I see your posts on LinkedIn, I'm so interested in what you're doing. So maybe to start, just give us a short presentation of yourself and the business.
Myself and the business. So I start with the business. I currently am the CEO of Allianz Life Insurance in Ghana.
Mhm.
Allianz is a global brand. We are headquartered in Germany in over 70 countries across the world, 130 years and more. In Africa, Allianz started in 1912. A long time ago. And in Ghana, where I currently reside, Allianz started in 2009. But the company where I'm CEO, Allianz Life Insurance, we started just barely 3 years ago, 2018. So we still consider ourselves a startup.
Yeah,
Now,
the fancy startup, yes.
so when we started in 2018, we were ranked number 20 out of 20 life insurance companies, but we quickly moved. In 2019, we moved to number 16. And at the end of 2020, we've moved to number 9. So we moved from number 20 to number 9 in less than 3 years.
Nice.
That's feat. We did so many things to do that. And one of the things I think is what we want to discuss today. It's a lot more about digitalization, a lot more about innovation, a lot more about questioning the status quo, a lot more about disruption. So that's I think that's the reason why we're able to move so rapidly ahead of the market. Last year, where the market grew a bit about 30%, but we grew by almost 80% as a business. So then a bit about what we
Oh,
do.
yeah.
We sell life insurance. So we sell life insurance, endowments, term life insurance. We sell hospitalization and all the things that, whether it's group life, personal lines, and all that, we do that. Myself, I'm a Nigerian, born and bred in a quiet place in Nigeria called Warri. It's in the south, in Delta State. I went to school around Warri, and then I went to university in Edo State. Then I started work in the northern part of Nigeria, Jigawa, and then Abuja, and then to Lagos. I started, I worked in Globacom, which was a startup at the time. It started in 2003, and I was there at the start. Then I moved to another company that is Starcoms, is also a telecom company. Then I moved quickly to insurance. I actually joined insurance in 2006. I started from being a trainer in insurance, and then I quickly moved on to deep into HR, into sales.
Yeah, because you're an HR person. I remember that. You're coming from
Exactly.
HR.
So HR has always been my background, and it's been like that. So right from HR, I always move into different roles like sales, like operations, and all that. Then I moved to the bank, First Bank, and then sometime in 2013, I came back to insurance, where we had to set up a new insurance company that was bought by some investors from the US. They wanted people to manage it, and so we managed it. It was newly bought from a bank. We managed it to a point where it became enviable for Allianz to buy. So Allianz bought our company from
Oh, I
us.
didn't know that. You didn't tell me that
Yeah.
when we prepared the meeting.
Yeah, so I did my master's degree, University of Liverpool in England. And since then, I've been into, one course after the other. Also in insurance, I currently have a diploma in insurance and just about to complete an advanced diploma in insurance. But before I
Oh,
started
great. Good to hear
this,
that.
so I was brought to Ghana in 2018 because of my experience in startups, in setting up new teams about people, processes, technology, and all that. So I was brought in to run the business. And here I am 3 years down the line as a CEO. It's been quite interesting.
So maybe I introduce myself quickly too, because my network knows me, but your network doesn't. So,
Okay.
so my name is Katharina Dalka. I'm the CEO and founder of StellarOne. We provide corporate finance and strategy services in the tech space. So we're working with investors, with corporates, more mature, and with startups. So we close the loop of the whole ecosystem.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been 2 years. I run my own business. It's going fairly well. And I'm also the chairwoman of Gideon. That is an artificial intelligence fintech in Switzerland. So I've been elected last week.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. That was a big move.
Yeah, I saw that on LinkedIn. True.
Yeah. Well, I co-founded the company, and then the board entrusted me with that role. So that's really great. I'm looking forward to that new challenge. It's going to be quite a thing.
Yeah.
So my originally I'm from Germany. I spent 14 years of my life in France before I moved to London, where most of my professional life, like all my professional life, is somewhere between finance and technology. So I started off as a technology project manager, where I did post-merger integrations of Air France and KLM. That was my first project ever. And then I moved over to strategy consulting, built my own corporate development practice. So I was an entrepreneur, and then I became head of corporate development in a tech startup. And after that, I built my own business. And throughout that own business, the consulting part, I started to work with Gideon, and then, one led to the other. And right now, 2 businesses run happily parallel in my life.
Nice one.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I'm very happy to be on that fireside chat with you. Ever since we follow each other on LinkedIn, I thought that was an interesting exchange to be having. Because I'm also working very closely with Africa FinTech Forum. I'm on the board of the organization. So yeah, always very interested in insights. And what we foremost wanted to talk about today is the market of Insurtech in Western Africa, right? And I wanted to have your view on what are the main trends that you see in the market at the moment. I do remember we had this conversation a little bit when we prepared the chat, and we were talking about the whole leapfrogging thing, meaning that there's a whole part of the market development that people have seen in the Insurtech or insurance market in Europe that won't even take place in Africa, because you're coming from a place X where Europe has been, and then Europe went through a whole couple of stages to get to X, Y, and Z, and you going from X to Z directly. Basically, you're like leapfrogging a whole entire development, basically because mobile is so important in Africa right now, and especially in Western African countries, but also on the whole continent, basically. So yeah, happy to have your vision on that one.
So first, on the trend, I like to look at it from 2 perspectives. So I am seeing a lot of customer trends, and then trends along the Insurtechs. I'm thinking maybe the Insurtechs are responding to these customer trends. So first, there's a trend around online. A lot of people are going online, and online businesses are thriving. A few years ago, no one would have believed that people would actually go online in Africa, in West Africa, to buy stuff. And so today you see Jumia, you see Konga, you see most of these guys doing so well. Online is it. I'm also seeing the trend about digital. So even very big companies, individuals are thinking digital. I'm also seeing remote work. Because of COVID, obviously, a lot of people are doing a lot of things remotely. And like you mentioned, a lot of things are on the mobile now. Many things are on mobile. Then, whether it's because of COVID, I see a lot of trend around wellness. People are talking about wellness.
Yeah, that's true. That's the same here, actually.
Yeah, lifestyle, healthy living, and all of that. People are talking about health. People are now taking good care of themselves, buying health gadgets and all of that. There's also connected devices, connected living. People are now, because everyone is online, there's cyber safety. There's also engagement. All these are things that I've seen around our customers and customers around, and it's really quite interesting. So on the Insurtech side, what I'm seeing in response to these, the trends I'm seeing trends around ecosystems and partnerships. So a lot of these insurtechs, they are not just providing risk management like the traditional insurance companies. What they're trying to do now is to look at the customer and look at all the issues, the problems they may likely have, or the things that they need. And then they try to provide a one-stop, shop. And because of that, so take, for instance, a couple of them like Bima, like IO, like Wella Health, these insurtechs. What they do is they connect themselves to payment companies, they connect themselves to government databases, to banks, some to pharmacies, to labs, to connected devices. Now, how does it work out for the client? For traditional insurance companies, if you want to pay, they say go to the bank to pay, or you need a check or all of that. Most of them are just the bank is the payment channel. But these insurtech guys, they are connected to all the payment platforms. Is it mobile money you have? They are connected. They want to pay with cards, they are connected. Is it QR code? They are connected. So that ecosystem, that partnership. Then something else that they're very good at that I'm seeing is they get connected to government databases. So for traditional insurance companies, you have to fill out a lot of forms, date of birth, all those many things. But these guys, because they are connected to government databases, ID card, driver's license boards, and all that, they just say, give us the number. You just plug the number and boom, your entire data is up there.
That's a very interesting thing. So just to mirror the two first points that you mentioned, what you said about partnerships, I see exactly the same thing here in Europe. Health insurance is connecting to payroll providers, because it's very linked. So I see exactly the same type of partnership thing going on here. Even things that you wouldn't have imagined before, as you said, like payment solutions and insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah, you see exactly the same here. That is very interesting. The other thing is the data. That's less so here because we have very, very strict data privacy rules, which are probably not applying in your region.
Yes, but the funny thing, I'm seeing that insurtechs in one way or the other are breaching, not really breaching regulation on data privacy, but they're trying to present data in such a way to the client that we need this data to help you. So they go to social media sites, they go to shopping sites, they get, Internet of Things and all of that, geolocation, they put all this together and they show you. So you are like, okay, if this data will help me, why not? So they're using style.
It's not the same attitude here. Especially in Germany, it's like
no, I don't talk about Germany.
You know it.
Don't talk about Germany. I get you. Let's not talk about Germany. Let's
especially in Germany, it's like we have GDPR in Europe, and then we have specific GDPR to GDPR in Germany. So I don't think we're gonna get to that stage anytime soon.
Well, I think we may. I think I don't know, but it may take time. But I think we may get to a time where some of these restrictions, some of these laws will go down because consumers would demand for some of these things. That's what I see. Then there's something very important about ecosystems. I look at Bima, I look at Wella Health. They connect themselves with pharmacies, they connect themselves with labs, they provide telemedicine service. And this thing about remote work and remote consultation is now the in thing. So people are now flocking to, telemedicine. And you call on a doctor over the telephone. From the consultation, the doctor can direct you to a pharmacy that is connected to them. And that pharmacy is online. You can get your drugs, and then there's a delivery company that is bringing it. So right in your house.
Oh, wow. So we have that in the UK. That it is, as far as I know, it's not quite yet implemented to that extent in Germany or in France, but in France they start. But in the UK we have the same system, even with like the national health system, but we don't get it delivered home yet.
Oh, okay. So these pharmacies Some of them have the capabilities, and we even have delivery companies that work with them. So these guys create that ecosystem, and it's really crazy. It's working because as a customer, why would I want to go to the hospital when I can actually see someone? It can, recommend drugs, and so I see that trend. Another trend I'm seeing is payments. I've talked about it. That one is crazy. That one is a major way they are disrupting the whole market. So before now, if you want to buy insurance, you are limited to the bank, you are limited to one or two payment channels. But these guys, you can pay through airtime. So they partner with, mobile network operators. You can pay through airtime. You can even pay through data service.
Hold on, explain this to me. What do you mean by paying by airtime?
Okay,
explain this to me. I want to know.
Okay, so I'll give you a product, a simple one from one Insurtech, Bima. So you buy life insurance, and then you buy it via the telco. So they sell it to you, and then the way you pay is a deduction from your airtime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they deduct from your airtime.
So you speak less on the phone to have more insurance.
More insurance. That's it.
Okay.
But the amount is so little because they've divided it into days. So it's really small. So customers don't really feel it. So they deduct, and it's automatic. So it's deducted automatically. So customers don't really feel it. The monies are deducted like that.
Wow, I do wonder what is the business model behind that, because you need to factor the airtime. It's like, damn, some people have put some serious thought into this.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying about these guys. The Insurtechs, they are really thinking. They're going out, they're looking at solving real life problems. People want to buy insurance, but they can't afford it. Some who can afford it, they forget, but they buy airtime, they buy data. So when you are able to buy data, then the guy is thinking, let me partner with that guy who sells airtime and let them pay through that.
That's really good.
That's crazy. And so another one, sorry, go ahead. Another one is mobile money.
So far away.
Another one is mobile money. So the mobile money is the current thing, the rate of growth of mobile money. It used to be for the unbanked in West Africa, in Ghana. But now both the unbanked, the banks, everyone is on mobile money. Now, these Insurtechs have gone into that space such that you can pay for insurance via your mobile money wallet.
And that was inevitable though, given the mobile money market,
Yeah. So, but they're bringing the mobile money operator, they're bringing the customer, and they're bringing the insurance company. They are just behind. They're bringing all of these guys providing the service. So I'm seeing that trend as well. I'm also seeing the fact that you can register through different means. So they get their clients sometimes through they just come to you, they want your database. We're talking about data privacy. They can go to a bank, they can go to a telco and say, we want to sell to your clients. So they don't have client base. They just do B2B2C. So they tell you, we want to sell to your clients. You have the clients, you're not doing anything about them. You're just selling banking products to them, or you're just selling airtime to them. But guess what? I can sell insurance to them and you gain something. You're going to earn a commission. That is really growing. They started with telcos, but now they're moving into the banks and they're moving into some other spheres. They think about who has a database. Then they think about how do we sell to these database and what would they benefit, and then they come up with it. So these are some of the things that
thank you very much for that insight. I found that really, really interesting, because what we've observed here, so here as in Western Europe, like that, and a little bit also in the States, is so there have been a lot of investments into Insurtech in recent years. Like it dropped a little bit this year. In Europe, most of the investments are made in the UK and then a couple in France, and then the other countries are just following. But the biggest investment market is definitely in the UK. And funny enough, the biggest investors are the insurances themselves. It's not the VCs or the private equity. So very interesting. However, what they've done until now is not really investing in like very disruptive models. It was more about really digitizing what was already there. This is why I'm saying there's this leapfrog event that is happening in the
Africa.
in Africa,
Yeah.
where like any Insurtech is actually doesn't have to deal with a certain amount of legacy. Right? And so there's way more space for innovative approaches because, I think that I don't have the exact numbers, I'm putting this out there, but if you compare the amount of people who have life insurance here in Germany versus the amount of people who have life insurance in Ghana, I think must be something like this. I'm wildly guessing, but I think that must be something like this. So there's a whole market that is open to a different way of contracting insurance, right?
Yeah.
That you don't need to deal with the legacy. So, it's just wide open. So it's a very, very interesting comparison. And I think that right now, what is happening in Western Europe is that insurers and also VC investors will have to look at disruptive models. And this is where it's going to be hard because insurance, you work for a German company, how stuck the
But
process
I'll tell you what our guys are doing around that space. No problem. Just go on.
Go ahead. I'm all ears.
Insurance by its nature, because it's a contract and all of that, it's traditionally old school.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. We are very, I wanted to say but I'll come back. We are very risk we are very risk averse and all of that. Yeah. However, you see giants like Allianz, they're getting into this space. What we're doing recently is we're buying into many of these Insurtechs. Yeah. That's what we're doing. So the status quo is there. We are Allianz. We can't disrupt this giant, but you know what? We can set up a business that can do that. And so Allianz set up what is called Allianz X.
Okay.
So there's a business called Allianz X. Allianz X is our digital business. So they invest in all of this disruptive technology. So today, for instance, under Allianz X, we have some companies like Pi Insurance, we have Bima, we have Stripe, we have N26, and then we have Hey Money. These are disruptors. These are disruptors, but we have stake in each of these things. So what the guys are doing is that, okay, we won't disrupt ourselves. We would at best digitize some of our operations, but we're going to invest.
This is like no hope for the traditional business.
There's hope. We're coming. There's hope. But we would do that slowly because these guys are agile. These guys don't have legacy. These guys, speed and all of that. You can't compete with them in their own terms. So the best thing is you digitize what you can, and then you plan to do a lot more. But while you're doing that, you also invest in other Insurtech so that you can play in the space. And that's what Allianz is currently doing. And we're doing so well. Our partnership with Bima and all of these companies is really great. In Ghana, for instance, I partner with Bima, and we go out to sell together. So when I go to a client, I tell the client I can sell from A to Z, to corporate, to mid-income, to retail, then to microinsurance. And I pitch Bima as a microinsurance provider. Bima does not have a license to underwrite. So I would always underwrite whatever they're selling. But you see all the innovation and all of that comes from
the whole partnership thing is so relevant.
Exactly. So that's how you see the big giants are doing. But for us, again, even as Allianz, we also come up with mobile technology that is helping us to disrupt. In Ghana, for instance, we have technology that is helping us so we are connected to different payment platforms like the Insurtechs, different payment platforms. We just recently launched our 1890 USSD.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, this is really disruptive because the guys, in the microinsurance segment, those guys at the bottom of the pyramid, many of them are used to USSD. When they interact with their banks, when they interact with the mobile network providers, it's the same type of codes that they use. So now they can buy insurance through the code. They can pay.
They actually can see the code, it's like you need to stand up a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So it's 1890 hash. We chose.
It's a proper advertisement.
So let me tell you something about 1890. That's when Allianz was actually founded. Allianz was launched in 1890. So we use that.
Yeah.
So we are pushing it in the minds of the people. But you see, with this, you dial this code from a phone, you can register, you can actually put in your details, your ID, everything end to end. You can buy insurance. This is Allianz. It's not an Insurtech, but we're playing in that space, you know. And now with all the payment platforms that we have in Ghana, including cards and all of that, you can pay for our products. So yes, we cannot fully, you know, move like the Insurtechs coming up with brand new products. In fact, the disruption for me from the Insurtechs is the product. While a typical insurance will say no, products will be 1 year life cycle, 10 years life cycle, they are giving monthly cycle, monthly. So today, insurance companies, traditional insurance companies are also coming up with products like that. So yeah, the battle is on. We understand who our competitors are, and then we are doing, which is something that you want us to talk about too, but I'll wait until we get there.
Well, I'm being a bit mindful of the time.
Yes, exactly.
You know, because there was another subject that we wanted to talk about in this fireside chat, which is our personal motivation to work in startups, right? So this is a bit of a different kind of question, but I still think it's interesting because we more or less both work in the same space, right? Fintech is a bit of a larger space, but than Insurtech. So Insurtech is somewhat of a sub-segment to it. But I think it's interesting that we, you know, just exchange a little bit on our personal motivations about working in this space. And I think that for me, what it is, and with my consulting company, because we're working with fintechs, but also with Gideon, is it's definitely the disruptive part of it, right? I think that per se, when it comes to money, human beings have endless imagination. Really, that like when you go to the stock markets and you see all the products that exist and all the derivatives and all that stuff, it's just like it's endless imagination. And I find it really interesting that such a traditional sector, like anything that has to do with money, may that be banking or insurance, is very traditional, gave birth almost to the first startups, right? Because fintech is kind of like, you know, the cradle of startups in one way or the other, right? And I find this so interesting as a development. And it's a constant intellectual challenge, because I'm working in a fintech and then I encounter this very traditional landscape of banks and insurances that we potentially work with, right? And it's like, it's a universe, like there's a universe between the two of them, right? And these like the major challenge is to constantly breach the gap between the two of them. And I find that like it's intellectually so challenging.
Yeah, I love startups. One of the reasons I love startups is there's no legacy.
Your colleague's going to be so happy to hear that.
I love startups. I don't have to deal with the past. Oh, we did something to our customers in the past. Oh, our systems, and nah, yes, it's from the start. I really love startups. Another thing that motivates me with startups is that we're there to disrupt. You're coming into a market that people are already playing, but your mind is, what do I disrupt? What do I change? So every day you keep thinking about that, and it drives me crazy. Like I wake up at night like, okay, everyone is doing this. Why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? And it's a culture in our organization today. It's like, why? And that why has led us to launch several things in our company that never existed in this market. So that is the motivation. And I don't have to deal with, oh no, you can't do this, because nothing exists. So you just free.
But once again, I think you're really lucky to move in the market where you're moving, because there are so many opportunities that you would probably not get here, you know?
Yeah, no, I know that very well. I even see some of our companies in mature markets, even in Africa. I kind of think that they look at me and they feel jealous, because it's like, this guy, Well,
Oh.
that's for people who like adventure. I love adventure. I love new things. I love, projects. I see startups like projects, the way I see them. Like you have all your deliverables, you have, seat reps, and then you have the challenges to deal with. Then you're looking at the risk associated, and then I see it like a start, like a project. So it always awake. I hardly I hardly sleep, and I've injected that into the team, and everyone is asking questions, and we're always thinking about what's the new trend, what are customers saying, what are our competitors. And when we talk about our competitors, we don't talk about other insurance companies. We talk about Insurtechs. We talk about banks. We talk about banks, fintechs generally. We classify them as our competitors because if care is not taken, those guys are going to take over the market. So we say, what are they doing that we can learn from? So the quest for knowledge, the fact that you come, you're doing something new, you're always trying to disrupt the market, it's so interesting. I don't think I can ever, I don't know, but I don't think I can ever work in a place where everything is working fine.
It never
Like
gets boring,
everything
right?
is like clockwork. You come in the morning, no, I can't do that. But that's my motivation.
Yeah, very true. And I think you also had a couple of questions for me, right?
Yes. So let's talk about, I think you've started talking about some of these geographical differences. Tell me a bit more about the customer, the acceptance of insurance, the distribution, the culture, and all of that. It would be nice to hear.
Well, per se, I think that Europeans, if I can state that as an overall thing, Europeans are very risk averse. But then there are strong notions between, for example, England, where it's a very liberal economy. You can get, made redundant, and then you need to leave in a month and you have no help. And then you go to Germany and you can hardly ever get made redundant. And when you get redundant, then you have, help from the state. To France, where when you get made redundant, you get, I don't know, I think it's 70% of your gross salary for 2.5 years. So, the risk adversity it's really differs from one country to the other. It's like me being of German origin. I know that risk adversity is probably around 150% compared to the UK. So the approach to insurance is also very different from one country to the other. But in general, I can say that, the level of insurance, may that be life insurance or may that be, home insurance, is really high. As I said, it's a legacy market. So there is a legacy, which to a certain extent is nice because you have a customer base that is aware of the product. But at the same time, there's also this whole paper heavy process that you need to get insurance, and all the rules and regulations that are in place to get insurance, under which conditions, etc. That might differ a lot from what you see right now in Ghana. And this is why I said, like, there's a whole legacy that you guys don't need to manage, that Insurtechs here in Europe or in the different countries, because it's different from country to country, need to manage. Yeah. And then also the other thing that I just said is, like, Insurtech, for the moment, the biggest investors are Allianz and AXA, right? Then there are a couple of important VC investors, but the biggest ones are in the US. And I think it's also a space that is relatively new when it comes to investments. So Europe doesn't have a strong risk-driven VC culture per se. So for the moment, it's a bit like more or less, there has been strong investments in recent years. Right now, it's going back a lot, quite substantially. And it wasn't related to COVID. It just went back because I think the trend came to its end. So yeah, the typical legacy thing. It's a bit like with payments. It's the same. It's the same market.
But do you see that changing anytime soon? Because the guys, new things are happening, new things are coming. Do you think that customer behavior, customer trends might begin to affect, this institution?
Yeah, but I think it's going slower than in banking. Because I think that what is in place for the moment works, more or less.
Okay.
the whole disruptive thing always ever happens when either one player comes in and rewrites the game, as it was the case in banking, with online banking. And then the pressure goes to the traditional banks and they need to keep up. Or there's a strong customer pressure. Otherwise, traditional industries never change. Either there's one disruptor that throws over the whole market, or there's customer pressure. And it's the same thing with Insurtech. Either there's like, a big startup that makes a massive change in the market and then everybody has to follow because the pressure is so big, or customers proactively come up and say like, look guys, why?
This is what I want.
Why do I need like 10,000 papers to subscribe to this and that and the other? And as much as it happened in banking, in insurance, it only happens to a certain extent, So where you're driving 150 miles per hour on a highway, Europe is probably driving 57.
Slow, calm. It's about, no, let's wait. You remember what happened last year? You remember this? So let's calm down.
I'm pushing it a little bit. It's not that bad. Disruption is still happening, but not at light speed.
Yeah. But do you think that the insurtechs or fintechs generally would take a more dominant role sometime in the future? Here in Africa, I think that yes, they're coming up, but I don't see them in terms of my vision for them. They have a lot of things to battle with. So one, they have things around the capital requirements. So regulation requires them. They have things around building brands. To build a new brand from the scratch is tough. They have things around the customer acquisition. How do you acquire, customers, your own customers? And then even regulation, I see some tough regulations around that might hinder their progress as we move on. So some countries will say, no. You cannot sell insurance this way. The client must sign. They don't believe in digital signatures. So those are the kind of things that can affect. Or to a country where they say, no, you can't use Twitter, or a country where they say if you use USSD, you have to pay for them. These kind of things, I think, would affect, the rapid growth of insurtechs going forward. That's what I see.
Obviously, in any sort of startup, but more specifically for Insurtech, what is very different from Europe to Africa is we have less political and monetary risk. Second of all, we have an established regulatory framework.
Aha, that's true. That's true.
It is what it is. It might be good or bad, but it's established.
Yeah, but here it's not. So there's a gray area of what to do, what not to do, arguments and all that. Yeah, that's true.
Indeed. So there are already two big factors that lead to the third one, which is obviously when you get investment on board and that, you can invest into branding and stuff, like the two first factors are major to get investment on board. So if you get investment on board, it's facilitated by the two first factors, which is not necessarily the case in Africa, right?
That's true.
Because you don't have a common regulatory framework. Sometimes it's quite gray in countries. And Europe has been built over like 50, 60 years, 70 years. This has been a lot of discussions in between. UK dropped out, but hey. So the regulatory framework is there, and the country risk is really low, like politically and monetary wise. Euro is very stable. So I think these are the two factors that might enhance progression of startups in general and Insurtech specifically.
Okay. Let's talk about something more interesting, gender diversity.
More interesting.
I was quite, I was surprised when you told me about, and I need you to just repeat it so that I can confirm about the gender. Just say it, let me hear it again so that I know that what you told me before is correct. Your employees, what's the balance between male and female in your
in StellarOne? We are an entirely female team. There is no man on board, which has not happened on purpose.
Yeah, so that's where you need to convince me, because I see it purely as pure discrimination against men. That's the way I see it.
I'm
So
not.
convince me. Let me hear how you have such a coincidence that everyone in the organization is female. I'm all ears.
So I think that, first of all, I was blessed with the amazing encounters of the ladies that I met. Okay. And that was a pure coincidence. Mariam is working with me on the board of Africa FinTech Forum. Maximilian has been introduced by my personal assistant to me. So it was circumstances of blessed encounters, and like we just clicked and we wanted to work together, and it's, you know, it just worked out. This being said, please bear in mind, I'm the only female on the team. Okay, so like I'm the only female on the board. I'm the only female like doing anything in this company. It's like all the others are guys. Okay, so
Okay.
I do not discriminate purposefully against people.
I believe you. I believe you, no problem.
You don't
But I'm watching you. I believe you, but I'm watching you.
Yes.
Here in our company, it's like a 50-50 split. Again,
Yeah,
really, it wasn't really deliberate, but we just found
okay,
that.
let me challenge you on one thing though.
Challenge me.
How many ladies are in leading positions?
So again, in leadership position, it's 50-50. In my executive management, we have the equal amount of male and female. That's
Okay,
it.
good.
Yep. So, you know, I'm HR, so don't.
Is your CFO a gentleman or lady?
So my CFO is a gentleman,
Mm-hmm.
yes, but my head of sales, retail, lady, head of sales, corporate, lady,
Okay.
head of legal, lady.
Okay.
Head.
Okay.
So that's good.
Okay, fair enough. No, I'm asking this, and I'm particularly well, you've seen my post. It's a bit of a big deal for me because most of the time when I'm sitting at the table, I'm surrounded by men, merely because I work in tech and corporate finance. So it's like very, very male-driven environments. And also because, unfortunately, ladies in general tend to not speak a lot about money and deal with money and have money professions. So it's a subject that is dear to me. And so, yes, we have an entirely female team. It was not on purpose. There are freelancers that work with us in other projects that are gentlemen and who do an amazing job. But like it's not the close team. And to be honest, I think that in the current situation of my company, it is actually an advantage.
Okay.
Because we have like a really great team with a really great atmosphere and very, like, we all have different competencies. So, you know, the one is compensating for the other, and if there's like, it just works out fine. And what I also think is that ladies have a certain skill set that gentlemen don't have, and vice versa. In finance specifically. Because of the way we're socialized, because of the way we are taught, etc., etc. And I think that right now, the way we are, you know, we work is working really well. And I think that when the company is growing, I'll probably onboard more gentlemen. I think that then I don't have any excuse anymore.
I'm following you. I'm watching you. No problem.
And you're right. You're righteously so. Just happens so that we're a corporate finance company with only ladies. It's a rare find.
Yeah, it's rare, very rare, but it's okay. Let's see.
I mean, if you look at their profiles, they like they come from banking, they come from investment banking. Mariam has been working with all over the place with MasterCard and FinTech in Africa. So yeah, great ladies. I'm very happy to have them on board.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you very much for your time, Gideon. It was great talking to you. We put we planned 30 minutes. We had an hour, so that's wonderful.
It's crazy. I can't even believe it. Like now, it's an hour.
All right. Thank you very much, Gideon.
Thank you very much, Katharina. Been a pleasure.